If you're ready.
Call the emergency session of Johnson City Hall, the Johnson City Council, 101 South Main, Johnson, Texas. This meeting of the City Council is called pursuant to an emergency or urgent public necessity, specifically winter storm, power failures, and water outage in accordance with section 551.045 of the Texas Government Code. Member of the public who would like to submit a question on any item listed on this agenda may do so via the following options. Online, there's an online speaker card may be found on the city's website on the agenda meetings recordings page. Speaker cards received will be read during the meeting in the order received by the city secretary. Or by phone, please call 817-558-7447, extension 2003. Provide your name, address, and question. Your question will be read by the city secretary in the order they were received. We'll call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum present. First item is to discuss, consider, and take action on the ordinance of the city of Gosport, Texas, declaring a local state of disaster due to a public health emergency, making findings related thereto, providing an effective date, providing an expiration date, and providing for the publication of the caption hereof. Just to get an update on everything, Mike, you want to tell us where we're at?
Sure. As far as the emergency declaration or just everything in general?
Where we're at, so what's being done?
Okay. So far, Public Works has been out almost day and night, either initially sweeping off the snow. It wasn't a huge issue. It's very powdery. Then, of course, the overnight freeze, we've had some freezing rain, but they have been out almost nonstop with at least one or two crews. Right now, they're doing more sanding. We've had the sanders out. There was one night they had to stop just because the sander froze up and they couldn't get it opened up. But they've been diligently working. I say diligently working, and that includes some areas of 174 and 917 where TxDOT has not been able to get to us at those times. We did ask for some help from them. They brought a big maintainer out, scraped 174 all the way through Burleson. And I just got an update from them. It really doesn't apply to us, but they still have 300 people and 220 pieces of equipment throughout our district, still working on the streets. Fire department has been up and running. They've answered every call that they've been sent to. So that has not been an issue, but the lack of water is starting to be an issue. They're having to thaw out ice for the restroom facilities and so forth. So that's been a challenge. That's what's kept City Hall closed yesterday, and today has been water. And we've got a solution for that that'll be in place this afternoon. So we will be open tomorrow. Animal control has been coming in, feeding animals, taking care of what's in there, answering calls as needed. Police department has been running. I've had really very little effect with them. We've got no damaged equipment reported, no loss of anything so far as we know. And we've collected one yellow Mustang out here from, I'm not real sure where, but they had some car trouble. So that car has been parked out there a few days. We don't know who the owner is just yet, but we'll look into that in the next day or two if it's not gone. We reached out yesterday to the Johnson County Emergency Manager when we were made aware that water might be longer than we were initially told. The mayor and I had a conversation with the utility district operations manager yesterday and thought that by this weekend was the target date to have everything up. And really pushing for tomorrow. And then something has come up with, again, electricity has been a problem. We've asked Pete Camphor, in just a minute you'll hear from him. He's the new executive director of JSUD, so he'll be able to answer your questions directly. They are working diligently to get their operations back up and running and thawed out as well. We've got 500 gallons of potable water that's being delivered to the city from JSUD. We will provide staff there to load buckets and whatever people bring so that they'll have some water that then they can use restroom facilities in their homes. And then we've had 88 cases. Is that right, Chief? 88 cases of water. 2 pallets of water dropped off at the fire station this morning. That will be available to the public. It's going to be first come, first serve, unfortunately, until we get more, but that'll be distributed. And then we're also we're gonna take care of Mariposa and some of the areas where people can't get here. We're gonna try and take care of those folks too. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Or Mayor, if Pete's on the line, if you want to
Yeah.
visit
Pete,
with him.
I think the primary concern right now is the water. So Pete, if you'd like to say a few words, and then I'm sure there'll probably be some questions.
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Just fine.
Okay. Yeah, by the way, thank you for the opportunity to speak to the whole council, Mr. Mayor. And we'll answer any questions that we have or that you all have, but we're working aggressively right now to get you water. Essentially, the holdup as we have it is we're generating water at, we call our SWAT plant in Granbury. So that's on Lake Granbury. It's via the Brazos River. So we're right now trying to get it powered up and unthawed and producing water. And that is essentially where you get your water from in Joshua. So we have been assured by UCS, our power supplier, not only there, but also here in our other pump stations, that we're dedicated for power, and that we're going to be working together in every way that we can to start producing. And so it's contingency right now on unthawing our water supply. It is currently frozen. We have a frozen line that's we call a raw water pump. And, the contingency for having that and making it available and, supplying this side of Johnson County, that being the western side, is what we're job one. That's what we're doing. We did, of course, send a little while ago over to the YMCA, just some water. It is a water that can be used for sanitation purposes. And we'll make that available throughout the day. Anybody that needs to, if we need to fill it multiple times, we will. So, we'll have that manned and available, and we'll go back and forth and shuttle that. So that's available for your citizens.
Thank you for the update. Anybody have any questions they'd like to ask?
The water at the YMCA, you say that's non-potable?
Well, it is essentially, where we're leaving it from the tap, it's drinkable, but, we're advising not to drink it because it's, TCEQ requirements, the state's requirements. We can't just arbitrarily fill up that thing and call it drinking water, but it's pretty good water. Normally it'd be tap water, but once we put it in that container, it's really now just for sanitation purposes, and, purposes of, if you have to wash something, I'm supposing you could use that, but it's really dedicated for flushing toilets.
Okay, so, but somebody could boil and use it.
That's correct. You could do that. Yeah. Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes, Robert. So, Mike, earlier you said there was 500 gallons, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that, I guess I missed the beginning part of that, I didn't hear, but is that at the YMCA?
It'll be brought to the YMCA, and that's where we distribute.
Okay, so, we've got a lot of people that are out of water. Looks like could be, I don't know where y'all live at in this town. Yeah. So there's a lot of people here who don't have access to a pool. 500 gallons can go pretty fast. So we have a plan to keep this replenished.
We do. All we have to do is reach out to them. They will come refill it, and we'll continue to pass it out as long as we have it, as long as we have people there. And then if we need to go beyond normal hours, as long as, we're not out, as long as it's not freezing, we'll continue to pass it out.
Okay.
And we can do it again tomorrow too, as long as we have a problem, we'll have somebody there to dispense the water.
How long, are we still looking at Tuesday before this is corrected, or what are we looking at time-wise?
Well, if it's directed towards me, we're ramping up just as quickly as possible on our water supply. We're indicating right now to be sufficient in pressure next week, Wednesday. It may be as soon as Tuesday, but we're doing everything we can to get you water just as soon as possible. By the way, citizens are responsible for their own container to pull the water at the YMCA. And yes, we'll keep that thing stocked just as much as long as we need to, whether it be day or night.
I think couple of conversations Mike and I have had with Pete, one of the issues is there's got to be a lot of air in the lines. And they're saying, if I'm speaking correctly, Pete, you said it may take a day just to get the air out of the lines because everybody's been shutting off water where there's no water. So that's one of the reasons for the additional delay. He was talking about the one at Lake Granbury, like I said, it's been frozen up. And so they've been trying to actually get it melted. That's a 30-inch line, if I'm not mistaken, that runs from Granbury to here. They are getting some additional water from Mansfield that we're going to be getting in. We got about, I think you said 500,000 gallons yesterday, and they're working on getting, more of that. So there were parts of the town yesterday that had water. I think they were primarily on the north end of town, but that's where we're at on the water supply. Anybody else over here has questions for him? Okay.
I do have another question.
All right.
I've heard, and this is just over the internet, so take it for what it's worth. People are saying that you should shut your water supply off at the meter and not turn it back on until you're sure everything's thawed in your house and everything. Do you guys have any instructions towards that?
Yeah, so this is Danny, the operations manager, Danny Armstrong. Sorry about that, guys. So as far as that goes, yeah, expect to see something put out here this afternoon on that. Yeah, so it's going to be a good idea to go ahead and start closing those taps since it's been without service for this long. And that'll help us get back up and running. And then we'll put something out. The issue that you have is we'll have to get the air out, and that's one, but also all those taps open and we start coming back online, that all that water is going to start running through those taps. So we'll issue something this afternoon about keeping or closing those off. And then we'll also, when we come back online, we'll send something out saying, about conserving slowly as we come online, try to conserve that water until we're up fully operational. That way, everybody will have water instead of just few trying to take it all at one time. We're all in this together, and neighbors are going to have to help each other out in that way. So yes, we will send something out this afternoon notifying the customers.
Well, what I'm talking about is if the lines in my house are frozen and you guys pump this water suddenly with pressure through it, it breaks that ice loose, it could burst my pipes. So is it advisable to cut the water off at the meter and then slowly turn it back on to the house as we know that the pipes are thawing out?
Yes, sir.
Okay, would that be something you could put on your advisory when you put the word out, that if you can, to cut the water off at your meter?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the more detailed you can be, the better. A lot of citizens are going to really have a hard time understanding what's going on. And the more information, the better.
You might also want to consider being able to get out and help some of these elderly people and people who don't know where their meters are as well.
We'll certainly do the best we can at that, but yeah, anything we can get from your side on cooperation and indicating where there might be those customers, we'll be glad to work it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One of the things we've been trying to do as a city, there's a lot of information showing up on Facebook. A lot of it true, some of it false, but what we're trying to do is just give one united front. So we're primarily using the Facebook page to get this information out. Now, what we're doing is we're not going to say anything about JSUD. We're going to post what JSUD's updates are. We're going to post what Waste Management, because they're the ones that are actually going to be fulfilling whatever it is they're saying in the update. So we don't want to have anything on our Facebook page that would maybe get somebody's hopes up or something that's not correct. So We will try and keep everybody as up to date as possible. JSUD, Waste Management, they all send that information to the city, and we will post it as soon as we have that information. The latest on the trash pickup is now Saturday. According to them, they're gonna try and get the businesses first, the apartments, places where there's a lot of concentration of folks. They may or may not get to city residential. It may be Monday before they do that. They're gonna try and do it Saturday, but it's not a guarantee, but they are gonna at least hit all the businesses, the apartments, and the ones that really have a concentration of trash. And that's according to their latest update. Have we gotten any comments from anybody who want to ask a question?
No, sir.
Okay. Does anybody else have any comments that they would like to ask for the folks who are online?
I think I'm good with Jason.
All right, one of the things was talking about that was called this meeting for was whether or not we needed to declare a local disaster. We don't. Once Governor Abbott posted the declaration of disaster, I believe it was Sunday, we're covered. There's nothing that we can gain by doing one now. Primarily when we would do one is if something happened uniquely to Joshua, maybe nobody else knew about, then we would declare a local disaster. Then that has to be updated by Johnson County has to do it, and then it goes to the state. But since the governor has already done that, that's an umbrella for every city and citizen in the state. So whatever anybody can get, be it from FEMA or whatever, we're already covered. We don't have to do a disaster declaration. And that's why we didn't call a meeting initially, is because once the governor has done that, we're covered. So
I got two messages, Mayor.
okay.
The first one is if you have had your faucets open, then you have no water to freeze in your lines, correct? So all you need to do is close faucets and we don't need to cut water off at the meter. Is that correct?
I don't think that's correct. It's my understanding that you should, even though you don't have water coming out, there's water in your lines. So you need to still shut it off at the meter so that whenever that water does come back on, I'd say it's probably a good idea to probably leave your faucets open, because that way they'll start thawing out and they'll start dripping whatever water is frozen in the lines. So I would say shut it off at the meter, but leave your faucets open.
Okay. The next question is, has there
Hey,
been
Mr.
any?
Yes, go ahead. Yes,
Mr. Mayor, may I speak for
yes,
just a
sir.
second? All right, thank you. Yeah, so I'm gonna reiterate what the mayor just said. Yeah, it's best to shut it off at the meter. That covers your whole system for your house. And I certainly agree with what he said, and we would second that on that leave your faucets open, but shut it off at the meter, and that's gonna be the best route. Again, watch for that. We'll get that to the city. We'll post that and you guys will share that. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mayor, I have several more questions.
Okay.
The next one is, has there been any word on mail delivery?
No, I've not heard. I know I personally got mail on Tuesday. We did not get anything yesterday. I've not been contacted. I did see information that the main postal unit was, the Joshua Post Office, for those that may not realize, they don't sort the mail anymore. All the mail comes in from, I believe it's from Fort Worth or Burleson, and comes to us, and then it just goes out for delivery. So that would be something we can check on today, if we can get in touch with somebody at the post office, and I'll have our city secretary post that online so that everybody will know.
Okay. Mayor, the next question is, since the power is on and rolling blackouts have stopped, will that speed up the water delivery, or are we still looking at Wednesday?
Talking with folks at the JSUD, they have also been in contact with United Co-op, and United Co-op has promised them that they'll be the #1 priority for service. That will help. I don't think JSUD's going to say right now what day the service is going to be coming in, because we don't know exactly what's going to happen. But I think they've spoken with ERCOT and everybody else, and they're going to have electrical service so that we can get those pumps back online. And the big deal is in Granbury, where they're trying to thaw that out. The United Co-op has been working very closely with them. They've actually got, I think, generators out on the lake trying to get these things thawed out so that we can get that 30-inch line back open.
Mayor, the next question is, says, my concern is that 500 gallons of water supply to YMCA will deplete very quickly. Can we have a much higher amount immediately available?
Okay, the only place that we've been able to find it right now is this one 500-gallon container, but we will be refilling it until there's no longer a need for the potable water.
Okay.
Non-potable water, excuse me.
Mayor, next question is, on Facebook, people have said that we might need to turn water on, hot water heaters, to prevent burnout since there's no water. Do we need to turn on water heaters?
Danny, do you want to answer that one?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would advise leaving water heaters turned off until the water's restored. They're just sitting there with the power on or their gas. They're just sitting there. They're not doing any good. There may not be water in those water heaters, and that's going to burn up an element. So my advice on that is, my suggestion is to leave them turned off till you get water and you have water continuously, and then turn them on, let them heat up and start using them.
Thank you, Danny.
Mayor, the next question is, will you notify us when it's ready to turn back on the faucets?
Yes, I think Jay Sud has made that comment that whenever they have it, the system they feel like is up, they will send out a notice and start gradually bringing everything back online.
At this time, that's all I have.
Does anybody else have any questions?
On the water heaters, if you have an electric one, you need to turn them off at the breakers. Just go flip the breakers. On gas. Most of the newer ones are automatic ignition. If you have a pilot light, you can turn it off, but leave the pilot light lit. All right, you got to be careful with the pilots and the gas and everything, because that can be dangerous. But if you're unsure, you might want to contact the plumber to come out and check that stuff for you.
And I know Atmos Gas has said that if they end up having because not only do we have it in the water and the waste and the electrical, there's also some natural gas shortages. And if the gas company, it's gotten low in different places. I know they've changed the pressure settings to where there's a little bit more gas going through now. But if they ever have to turn the gas off, then Atmos Gas will have to come to every single house to turn your gas back on and make sure everything's working. So if you do completely lose gas, you need to wait until Atmos Energy has said it's okay, and then wait until that representative from Atmos Gas comes to your house.
Mayor, I do have another question. Do we have water for fire protection?
Chief, I'll let you answer that one.
Obviously, no water in the water mains means no water in the hydrants. We rely upon tank water in our trucks, and mutual aid companies that would come and help us with tank water, which is what we initially use anyway when we fight any fire, until we're able to retain water from a hydrant. So everything should be okay.
And one thing we do, the latest fire truck that we bought, Brett and Chief, it's what's called a CAV system, in that it sprays out a foam and does not use as much water as they used to use in the old days. In the old days, used all the water, but now with the CAV system, you're not having to use quite as much water to fight a fire. This sprays the foam out over the fire and helps extinguish it. Is that correct, Chief?
Yes and no. No, we don't initially use calves, but it is used a lot for overhaul. We use foam to soak into the burning products to extinguish the hazard that way.
Okay, Mayor, I have one more.
Okay.
Says we're currently at the fire station. No one's here with water.
Okay, we were waiting until this meeting. We just got the water this morning. We need to set up some requirements. That's one of the things we'll be doing at the meeting here, is how much water each person gets, and if there's any requirements. We hope to have that, by the end of this meeting, we'll know, and we'll get that out to the fire station and have that set up. As far as the potable water goes, I'm pretty okay with just saying whoever shows up. We may have to put a limit on it. I know there's a lot of people out here with livestock that, we can't have somebody driving up with a 200-gallon tank and filling that up. We're going to have to watch that.
Okay. Mayor, the next question is saying, without water, will school be able to resume on Monday?
Okay, that would be a question for JISD. I'll let them answer that. As soon as we do get any update from them, we will post that. I would imagine, though, they're under the same issues that we are, it would be very hard to have school if there's not any water, because you've got kids with toilets. I don't even want to think about that.
The next one is not a question, it's just a comment. It says, thank you for having this meeting to answer questions for us.
Thank you for all the people. I've seen more people on this Zoom meeting than we have in any other meeting we've ever had. So on a short notice, I'm very impressed that many citizens have come in. So thank y'all. One thing we need to do as a council though now is we've got 88 cases of water. There's 24 bottles per case. We need to set some requirements on how much water does each person get? Do they have to live in the city, or we give it to people that live outside the city? I'll open that up for comment. That makes up the citizen. We have 88 cases.
88?
Yeah.
That's it.
How many?
24 bottles in the case. And the thing is, I mean, this is good drinking water, and I hope people will go to the Y to get the non-potable water for their toilets. I would hate to see all these cases of water going down the toilet. You know, the thinking is we need to probably take a few cases down to Mariposa for the older residents that are there, so if they have some water, let them distribute that.
No.
But we may need to make a decision on, show up at the fire station, what do you get?
Mayor, I have a comment.
Yep.
Their suggestion maybe showing proof of water bill to pick up the water.
Good idea.
I know it's open to anybody, but some call that channel.
Right.
It's gonna be 30.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just-
It's drinking water, so it's not. Are we looking at Wednesday? Is that what the date is?
That's the-
What Jay said.
That's the day that if everything goes to heck in a handbasket, we still should have it up by Wednesday. So they're shooting to have it done as soon as possible, but Wednesday's the date that if everything still goes wrong, we should still have water up.
And that's looking at the weather warming up too, right? To
Correct.
unfreeze, because
Now,
even when they get water, this is directly to Jay said, even when y'all get the water back up and pumping out of Granbury, how frozen do you think the line's gonna be getting through, all the way to Gospel?
Yeah, Mr. Councilman, so once that's up and going, there's not any concern about our lines being frozen. Once we get it from those guys and get it in the tank, we'll be able to get it out into distribution. Our lines are buried deep enough and we're set up for that and ready to go.
Thank you.
all right, one thing too, we talked to J.D. Moore, the Emergency Services Director. They were the ones that provided the 2 pallets of water this morning. We're trying to get more. We've got calls into the Red Cross. I don't know that we've called FEMA yet. I think every time we've tried that we haven't been able to get an answer. But, you know, as this keeps going, we'll keep trying to get water. What we will do is we'll post that on the site saying, all right, you know, we have the water. Non-potable, I think we've got covered. It's just gonna be the drinking water that's gonna be an issue.
So can we, if they're gonna be distributing this from the fire department, can we set that up as a designated drop-off point for donations, right? Like water or, you know, other stuff? Because I mean,
Chief, you okay with that? Sure. That's a good idea. Just so everybody heard, if anybody's wanting to donate any water or has any cases of water available and you would like to donate those to the city, you can drop them off at the fire department and then we will in turn give that water out to citizens. Another comment?
Mayor, I have a question. I have 2 actually. They're coming in. Sorry, it's taking me just. So a comment was made regarding hot water heaters. Should we turn the breaker to our hot water heater in our house off?
Yes. I believe the consensus is yes.
Okay. The next question is, so why did JSUD secure 20 pallets and only 2 to our city that is hit the hardest?
I'll go ahead and,
Go ahead. Pete.
yeah, I'll go. Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'll go ahead. This has just been an outreach and cooperation with the Johnson County and Emergency Department. they're allocating and they're setting up and they're making requests so that we have distribution, really not by criteria at all, but throughout the whole county. So of course, Joshua is a part of and integrated within the center part of the area. So it's done by an even distribution throughout all the county. And so hence, it's just a division among the cities and areas so that there's a fair share. So this is coming actually through and via commitment through the Johnson County Emergency Department.
Yes,
We've also confirmed that other fire stations in Godly and in the area, Station 83, which is right out here off of Chisholm Trail Parkway, I believe it's County Road 913, they have water as well.
okay, that they're ready to give out. All right, so that's for,
I think if we limit to our residents, we're gonna be okay.
right. Everybody heard that the ESD power stations, which is the one out by Chisholm Trail and the one in Godly, also have water. So if anybody from the outside the city limits is listening, that's where you would be able to go and get water. As well, if you're a citizen and live close to one of those, then you could go and get water.
I think we should consider the 6 at the minimum per household, but you also need to consider the size of the household. How many people are in there? If they honestly request that they've got, 6 kids or even 2 families living there, we need to consider that as extenuating and go ahead and give a little extra. And I trust the chief and his guys to make the determinations on honesty. I know coming from my church, we run a food bank and we just take people at their word and try to give them what they need. And we just ask the citizens to be as honest as they can. And we'll try to do this the best we can and stretch it as far as we can. And God bless whoever did bring the water, and I hope more comes, and I hope the water gets fixed fast. But I think we should consider that as a baseline, maybe the 6, and then allow more if
Maybe
they-
say 6 and then give a maximum of 10 if you've got additional.
Yeah, 6
people.
to 10, it's a good number. That's what I was bouncing my rattling around up here, but just to kind of try to get through this. We need to stretch as far as we can. We need to try to make sure somebody's got at least some.
Somebody overtime.
Right. Well, that's what we're gonna have to, lean on the citizens. Unfortunately, we don't know where all the elderly folks live. I'm sure they've got neighbors, so if
Yeah, if you know of
somebody's
anybody.
out, you know that you've got a neighbor that's not able to get out, if you can reach out to them, I'm sure we can make allowances for you to pick up some water for them as well. Like I said, we're gonna try and get a couple of cases down in Mariposa to help out those folks.
Or even if you know of anyone that needs it, and you can reach out to someone else that could help facilitate that, even if you can't go make the runs. I know I've offered it, but I haven't had any takers yet, but I can get out and help.
And I know one thing I just reminded of is the warming centers. We did check with several of the local churches here when this first came about back on Monday. The problem we had was all the churches in Joshua were suffering from the power outages, so they didn't have any way to keep their facilities warm. So we have checked around, and our city secretary is keeping the list updated, and we're posting that periodically. There's several locations in Cleburne, the Cleburne Conference Center where they have water, and you can go and it's warm. There's several places in Burleson. Burleson has actually opened up their brick where if you need to go take a shower, you can go into Burleson and go to the brick and get a shower. So we'll also keep those updated so that if you do need to go to a place that's warm, then you can check the Facebook page and there will be a listing of all the places that are accepting people.
I know our church, Open Door Church, went to a generator for backup.
Right.
They've been maintained. They have food and water and electricity.
Okay, Mayor, next question. So even though there's no worry about the city lines being frozen, we still need to turn off water at the meter. Is that correct?
That is correct. And open up your faucets.
Okay, going forward, will JSET have backup generators in place to prevent this from happening again?
We're certainly going to be doing a thorough review, and we're actually going to be having our own public meetings regarding all of the investments that are looking at how we are impacted by this event. So there's a lot of, right now, a lot of writing down, making lists and accumulating, and then putting that into a report and being able to look at the financing as well as the actual need. So I'm going to make some assumptions right now that the board will decide to purchase a certain amount of generators. Sometimes they'll be mobile. They'll be sufficient to work in different areas as the power may be required. All of our customers should know that we also are looking at anything to do with our wastewater, which includes Joshua. So, we want to make sure that that's powered correctly. And, right now looking at our sources of water and how they're also powered without right now backup generation is also critical. So everything that we're doing is being compiled as we speak. It'll be generated into a report. It'll be available to our customers. And yes, there will be some addressment to generators. And there'll be a lot of follow-up about the total impact of what's actually happened. And, there'll be a summary of that. And, we'll make that known to all of your citizens as well as the rest of the county.
I'd also like to say, as mayor, I'm going to call a town hall meeting sometime in the next month or two, solicit comments from the public to see what we could have done better. We'll also be having our budget period coming up. And if this is something that people think they want to spend extra money on, then we will listen. It could affect the tax rate. It may not, but we want to listen. I was watching the news last night. The 3 days running were the coldest 3 days in the recorded history of the weather in this area. So this was an event that does not happen very often. I think the last one that got close to this was 2011. But again, this is the #1 coldest 3 days in the recorded history in North Texas. Any other questions or comments?
Mayor, there's a comment that their audio cut out for a minute, but can you give an update on Atmos?
Atmos is just working to get the gas current. I know the governor last night put out a deal to all the gas shipping to the gas producers that no gas is to leave Texas until this issue is resolved. He's telling nothing's going out on ships, nothing's going out on pipelines. All the gas will be redirected to stay in Texas until this is taken care of. So right now, it's not an issue in our area yet. If we got some more cold weather that came in unexpectedly, it would be an issue, but Atmos will notify us and we will notify you via Facebook if that should happen.
Okay. One more question. Will JSET please post information about these upcoming meetings and information on their Facebook page?
Yes, we will.
Thanks, Pete.
That's all.
I guess getting back, we probably do need to make a motion then on the water. What I'm hearing is maybe everybody gets 6 bottles of water, maximum of 10 if they have more an extended household, and then make them require show proof of city residency with a water bill, or with a garbage bill. Chief.
If I can make a suggestion, we'll ask them how many in the household right off.
Right.
Say if there's only 2 people, then they get 6. If there's more than 2, then we give them 10.
Right. Perfect.
Did I hear you earlier when you said you would rather just not ask people for?
Well, I was gonna refer to Chief. Chief, what kind of identification would you prefer for people to show as their proof of residency? Their address?
Yeah, anything official that has their
Because
address.
some people might not have their water bill or whatever readily available, like you know, they might throw it away today or something.
Yeah,
So it might be kind of hard.
Trash.
But
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna
in
be
this
honest,
kind of
I'm not really a fan of asking anybody to prove that they're from here. This is a disaster.
Absolutely. So, you know, at worst, maybe just.
The thing is, our benefit, you know, our benefit, I mean, we
They
can't.
show up, they need water.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We obviously, we can't fix the entire city with 88 cases of water, but we can do what we can, and hopefully people will begin to bring what they've got and donate, and,
Yeah. So, no,
We gotta just
No
come in
water.
there and they get 6 bottles of water. If they say they got more than that, what they need, you give them 10 and don't even ask.
is that okay, sir?
I'll entertain a motion on that then.
Is that okay with you, chief?
What is it that I'm not going to ask?
You don't have to ask for residency. You know, if they say they've got more than,
You can ask them how many they got, how many they pick it up for, you know, and
Okay.
give them appropriately. I'll make the motion.
okay,
I'll second.
they got a motion by Mike Gibson, by Scott Kimball to give out the water at the fire station. You'll get 6 bottles of water. If you have more than 4 people, we'll give you 10 bottles of water. And we'll go till it runs out. People will be making donations. And as long as we have water at the fire station, we'll continue to give it out. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. You have another comment?
Robert's still on.
Okay, I'm sorry, Robert. What do you say? All right, Robert says yes, it's 7-0.
Mayor, I have one comment. So for those of us who joined late, can you give us a brief report on status and what to expect?
All right, guess I'll start with garbage, waste management. It said that they were gonna be doing trash pickup. Saturday will be the earliest date. They're gonna be hitting the businesses and apartments first. They will try to get to residential, but it's not a guarantee on Saturday, but they will then be coming on Monday. As far as water goes, Jay Sud is working with electric companies. They've gotten commitments that our generators will have a #1 priority at all the stations that need the electricity. Jay Sud has stated that there will be air in the lines, so it'll probably take a day or so to get those cleared out. But they're working to, as fast as they can, and as soon as they can, they'll get the water to us. The latest date that they're specifying is Wednesday, February the 24th, but they're shooting to do better than that.
And Alice, you can also put together a synopsis and put it on the Facebook page.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There's one question. What size is the water bottles?
That's a very good question.
The 16 ounce.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I believe those are 1 liter bottles. They're not just a regular size water bottle. I think they're 1 liter each.
Okay, good. Thanks. So it's 1 liter to whoever asked that question. Chief,
So does that change how many bottles?
how much is a liter? I don't know how much more than that. How many bottles of those are in a liter?
Yeah, liters, almost 32 ounces.
Yeah, I just leave it for 60.
Mayor, I have a question. If you can't shut your water off, can we request a city to come and help us shut it off?
Jason, would you be able to do that for anybody that couldn't shut their water off to go help them out and get it turned off?
Yeah, so call in, we'll take it on a case by case basis. We're limited on personnel and how fast to get out there with other issues in the system, but definitely call in. We have all hands on deck taking calls, and we'll take it on a case by case basis. Probably going to be elderly and people with needs first to help them out. So hopefully that's who will be calling, and people that are able can hopefully help close their own water off. If there's certainly questions about where your meter is, call in and maybe we can answer that on a call with one of the field techs and walk you to your meter. With this ice and snow, I know you're not gonna be able to see it, but so that's, we'll handle on a case by case basis.
Chief, you have something you want to add to that?
If they have a water pipe break, an emergency, the fire department will respond to that and call 911.
Okay.
We'll help them with that.
If everybody didn't hear that, the fire chief said if you have any water pipes, excuse me, that break, that is considered an emergency. Call 911 and the fire department will respond to help you out. Also, I think we need to, to rely on neighbors. If you don't know where yours is, your neighbor, ask them. They might be able to come out and help. I'm not trying to be cold on that, but it's just a lot of people live in some areas that it's hard to get to. And this is something that does need to be done. So like I said, call your neighbor. If you can't get in touch with somebody to help you out, then call Jason and they said they'll help you out.
And if you have the ability, please go check on someone you hadn't heard from or you hadn't seen. Doesn't hurt to go check on folks.
Mayor, I've got an update from Atlas if you want.
All right.
Steve Klein's telling me that there are no pressure issues on any of the gas lines in Joshua. They're not aware of any anticipated shut-offs here. So
Just to repeat that, if everybody didn't hear, we just got an update from the area representative for Atlas. There are currently no issues in Joshua with natural gas or with Atlas gas, and they don't foresee any here in the near future.
Mayor, the next question is, if we live at Pecan Creek Mobile Home Park, do we shut our water valve off or does the park have to do it?
To be honest, I don't know how the water is distributed there. You probably need to talk to the manager, and they should be able to go onto the JSUD site and see the procedures for shutting the water off and follow whatever the manager of the Old Home Park says.
Okay, the next question is, can you post a video on how to shut the water off at the meter?
So, Mr. Mayor, I can answer that. We're going to work to find some kind of video to put on the Facebook page and possibly maybe on our website. We'll look to see if I can find some kind of video.
Thank you, Pete.
Channel 11 News yesterday had a segment showing how to turn the water off at the meter. You might check with them.
Okay, thank you.
And if, just what you can do is when you go out and look at your meter, there's a valve on there that's at the water meter, and it just basically needs to turn 90 degrees. And you need to turn it in the direction of, there'll be one valve that'll be pointing one direction, and then the valve that's on top where you can actually go to turn it off. If you'll turn that to the same position as the valve on the bottom, that will basically turn your water off.
Yeah, to add to that, Mr. Mayor, most all those cutoffs, and generally you want to look on the house side of the meter first. Those are all different kind of valves, but a lot of them are a quarter turn that have a handle on them. They're only going to go so far and stop. Others will have arrows on top of them. And if the arrow is not pointed towards the house, it's pointed towards the side, that should cut your water off as well.
Thank you. Anything else?
No, sir, not this time.
All right. Anybody else? Council have any questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
do we have a way for retail outlets to say, contact the fire department as they get restocked on water and fuel and have a centralized point where this information would be available rather than having people having to call or run all over town to try to get fuel and water and other necessities?
I mean, I guess we could try to get the word out to these businesses to notify us when they do, and then we can post it.
Maybe call the city.
Yeah, it might just be we've got to get it, but it would, the businesses are going to have to call us and tell us when they have the water in. We're not going to be able to just call every day, every business. Chief?
We will go out and check and see when they get things.
Okay.
But, I did speak to the people of the Exxon down south, and they said their suppliers said they weren't going to get any fuel until there wasn't any eyes on the street.
All right, just so everybody, if you didn't hear that, the fire chief said that the fire department is going around to the businesses checking to see if they have gotten water in. They had checked this morning with the Exxon station at by the high school, and they had said that their suppliers told them there will not be any water coming in the next few days. Fuel, I'm sorry, fuel, not water. But are y'all checking on water bin sheets too as well, or are you just checking on fuel?
We go into the brochures. I just was down at HEB. They had maybe not even half a pallet of water left. That was it in the store. I don't know when they're going to get it. I go through there a lot, so I'll check.
As we get information from any of the businesses, if they do have gas or water, we will put that on Facebook and let everybody know. Anything else, Robert? All right,
Mayor, I have a few more.
okay.
The first one is, we live on Carlock and our meter is on Eddy. Can the water department tell us which is ours? They're not marked.
Okay, so Mr. Mayor, I would encourage people to call into the office. We'll talk to them one-on-one. We can certainly work to try to tell people which meter is theirs. This is a kind of a rare case to have your meter on one street and house on the other. There are quite a few of them. So we'll work with those customers one-on-one if they'll call in.
Thank you.
Next question is, I saw where JSUD is charging $50 to come turn a meter off. Is this true? Also, we were told this when we called JSUD.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, so I can address that as well. With the limited staff that we have, we're trying to make sure that this is a necessity that we come out for the elderly and other folks. If people want us just to come out and turn their meter off, they're capable of doing that. We just don't have the staff to cover all that. So I'm going to say that charge is going to be on a case-by-case basis, depending on your needs. I don't know any other way to do that.
Okay, so basically, if it's elderly or you can't get out there, y'all will do that for free.
So I'd like to add too, we will certainly do our best to walk you to your meter over the phone. Just please be patient. If you call, you may have to receive a call back, but we'll work on that. We can certainly walk you to your meter over the phone and talk you through that.
Okay.
It's not a question, but a comment. It's just charging is unacceptable.
Okay. Anybody else have anything?
Mayor, I'm sorry, a new question came through. It said, is the YMCA location up and running yet? Will we be able to fill gallon jugs there?
No, the YMCA is closed today. They're under the same brownouts and lack of water.
The water, the bottled water.
But the non-potable water, it's actually going to be in the parking lot next to the YMCA. But yes, we're going to keep that, the water coming until.
Is it up and running now?
Mike, checking with him right now. It wasn't 10 minutes ago.
Danny, do you know if that water has left?
I do not, Mr. Peacock. They were filling it up right as this meeting started. So I suspected it's probably already there. If not, it'll be there within 30 to 45 minutes.
We will post on our Facebook page as soon as we know for certain that the water is at the facility. And then you can go up there and start filling up. But I would say don't make the trip until you see on Facebook that it is there. Anything else?
That's all I have.
All right, well, I appreciate everybody coming in this morning, and like I said, believe me, we have been working on this since day one. This unfortunately has hit all over the state, but we're doing the best we can. We're going to continue to keep doing what we've been doing. As our city manager said, our public works guys have not missed a beat. They've been out every day, every night, trying to sand all the areas. They're working nonstop to do as much as we can to keep the roads safe. Just everybody be diligent, help out your neighbors. We're all in this together. The city is going to try and do what we can, but we're asking for your help as well. So thank all of y'all that were on in attendance today. This meeting is adjourned.